Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog, and wanted to talk about the Paul George situation because it took a drastic turn. I've known about it for a couple days, wanted to talk about it, but haven't really gotten around to talking about it. And the fact of the matter is the 76ers are no longer pursuing Paul George. They have decided that Paul George is not the guy for them. Which says one thing to me, okay? And the only thing it says to me is that Paul George wants way more money than he's worth. And the second thing it says to me, actually it says two things, and is that Paul George is not worried about winning a championship, which is fucking astounding to me because Paul George is probably one of the, like, if he doesn't win a ring, he will probably go down as one of the greatest players ever to never win a ring. And I look at this and I think to myself, well, there's only a handful of teams with enough cap space to even sign Paul George. Most of them are teams that are not very good. You know, the Utah Jazz, the San Antonio Spurs, the Detroit Pistons, and then you get into the Toronto Raptors. Then you get into your block of teams that are good or at least are decent, but adding Paul George doesn't really make them a championship contender except for maybe one team. The Orlando Magic have enough cap space to sign Paul George, but you know they're rumored to be in the hunt for Klay Thompson, which if you can get Paul George, yeah, Paul George is a major upgrade, I think, over Klay Thompson. But the thing is, the one team that I look at is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder have enough cap space to bring in Paul George. They just made the trade for Alex Caruso. But the thing is, okay, Even the Oklahoma City Thunder can't offer Paul George as much money as they would like to, or you know, even that maybe that Paul George wants. You know, his player option's worth $48 million. So unless you can pay Paul George north of $48 million, he's nobody has the ability to really sign him. You know, the one thing I don't understand is on his podcast, actually, he said he wants to play basketball the right way. And I think to myself, well, what the fuck does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Once I saw that, I was like, okay, you want to play basketball the right way or the proper way? What the fuck is the proper way? Give you the ball and let you take 30 fucking shots a game? I like Paul George a lot, man. But here's the thing. His player option's worth a whole hell of a lot of money. And I kind of think the Clippers maybe played into this as well. They were like, well, nobody else has enough cap space other than the 76ers and the Orlando Magic to sign Paul George to a figure bigger than what his player option is worth. So maybe they did this on purpose. They're like, yeah, we're going to focus on James Harden, and this dude's going to come back because nobody's going to be able to offer him more than $48 million in 1 year. And it makes a lot of sense now. You know what I'm saying? It kind of makes a lot of sense now why the Clippers were like, yeah, okay, we're going to do what the fuck we want, and you go find someone to pay you almost $50 million a year, because nobody's going to do it. You know, Paul George, don't get me wrong, Paul George is a phenomenal player, but the problem is adding him to your roster doesn't automatically make you a championship contender unless you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. Even the Orlando Magic, it's even if they get Paul George, it's do we really think Orlando is a championship team if you put Paul George on it? They're a good team, don't get me wrong. They play defense very well. They got Paolo Banchero, they have Franz Wagner, but they're just, as a unit, you know what I'm saying? As a unit, you put Paul George on that, it's you're essentially hoping Paul George can lead you to the promised land, and that's not enough to beat the Boston Celtics. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if it's enough to beat a team like the Knicks or a team like that, depending on what happens with the Knicks this offseason. The 76ers could pick up OG Anunoby, you know what I'm saying? So it's even then, adding Paul George to that, I don't think that's enough to beat the 76ers, who most likely are going to bring back a Nick Batum also. It's just, This whole thing doesn't make sense to me. And I just think to myself, okay, well, Paul George is frustrated with the Clippers, and it seems like he doesn't want to go back there because they didn't offer him a contract extension, but he's going around the league looking for a figure that I'd say roughly like 90% of teams cannot pay him. Like 90 to 95% of teams cannot afford to pay him like upwards of like $230 million. You know, like he's a good player, but Paul George kind of fucked himself because it seems like he refuses to go back to the Clippers, but he also refuses to take less money, and there's only one or two teams that can offer him a max contract and offer him the ability to win a championship. One of those teams is the 76ers, and they said no, and the other team is the Orlando Magic, which isn't even really a real opportunity to win. And I think the Oklahoma City Thunder only have like $36 million in free cap space, so it's like, yeah, you could make a run at Paul George, but it ain't gonna be bigger than that player option he's got with the Los Angeles Clippers. So Paul George needs to make a decision. Does he care about money, or does he care about winning? And I think Stephen A. Smith said it best on the Stephen A. Smith show. It's like, you've made your fucking money. Go win a ring. Like, go to a team that can help you win a ring. And when I heard him make the comment saying he wants to play basketball the right way, I just think to myself, okay, so what teams play basketball the right way? And like, I don't know, I guess offer him a chance to win and can offer him money. There's not a lot of them. You know, Golden State would maybe be ideal for him. It's in Los Angeles. You get to play with Steph Curry. You could be their third piece, so to say, if Klay Thompson leaves and they trade Chris Paul or take a sucker to pick up Chris Paul. But even then, I think the Golden State Warriors have a better chance at landing Zach LaVine than trying to sign Paul George. You know, it's just... It sucks because this just feels like ignorance. Like, I like Paul George a lot. I really do. He was one of my favorite players. He was the whole reason I became a Pacers fan in the first place. But this dude needs to make up his fucking mind. Okay? Like, you've made your money. You've made your money. You're set for life. Go win a ring. Don't be Carmelo Anthony. You know what I'm saying? Don't be fucking, Clyde Drexler. Don't be Sidney Moncrief. You know, don't be these guys. Don't be guys that were really fucking good that could not win a ring when you have the ability to go somewhere and win. You're 34. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're reaching the back end of your career and you're still a good player, but for whatever reason, he's worried about money. And like, to me, that I'm like, yo, if you're worried about money, you might have a spending problem. If you've made over $200 million in your NBA career and you are still worried about money, what the fuck are you spending your money on, bro? Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it at all. And like, honestly, if I were Paul George and it were me in his situation, I don't know what his financial situation is like. I would assume it's got to be pretty fucking good considering he's still playing basketball. But like, if I want to stay in LA and win a ring, I'm going to go sign with the Lakers for nothing. Or I'm going to go sign, if I don't feel like playing in the West and I want to play in the East, I'm going to go sign with the Pacers for nothing. Or I'm going to go sign with, I don't know, the Philadelphia 76ers for a lesser amount than what I'm asking for. You know, because I'm going to be honest with you, man, OG Anunoby is still out there. Like, the 76ers realize, like don't get me wrong, Paul George is a great player, but he's not a necessity. He's not a necessity to most teams. He's a guy that you add to your roster to put you over the hump, to put you from fringe playoff team to championship team. And I just think, like, he's not a guy that's going to lead you to a championship. He's a guy that can help you get there. And, you know, most teams in the NBA can't afford a trio of 3 max players anymore. They just can't. Like, there's a reason the Denver Nuggets are looking to trade Michael Porter Jr. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need to have cap space to bring back guys like KCP and Aaron Gordon when his contract comes up. And, you know, Jamal Murray's got, like, I think after this year we'll have, after this upcoming year, we'll have 1 year left on his deal. They got to bring him back. You know, so, like, I just look at this and think to myself, I don't know where you want to go, unless you want to go to the Mavericks and sign with them for nothing and run it back with them with Kyrie and Luka, which really wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But the thing is, Paul George is prioritizing money over winning. And I just think to myself, like, why? Why? I get it. Like you're gonna make your money regardless of where. You mean to tell me $30 million, $40 million a year is not enough for you? You know, like, I get it. I get that your player option with the Clippers is worth $48 million. Okay? And that's a lot of money. It's honestly, when they signed you, they overpaid for you. But, you know, if you're not planning to go back to the Clippers, then you need to forget about this $50 million a year number that you have in your head. Because most teams don't have that much money to give you year over year. So, I don't know, man. Like, the only three teams that I could think of that really, like, the three teams that I think of that make sense for Paul George is, like, the Lakers, the Pacers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the 76ers. Like, he's got options. This dude has options. He can do whatever he wants. But he's worried about money. And you know what? Unfortunately, if you're worried about money and you're looking to make more money than what your player option is worth, you are going to be sadly very disappointed. Because there's only maybe two teams in the league that can offer you that. And that's the Orlando Magic and the Philadelphia 76ers. And the 76ers already told you to take a hike. So, like the idea that the 76ers stopped their pursuit of Paul George so abruptly tells me the number he gave them was, like, unrealistic. Like, that's what I got out of it. Like, if the 76ers, who by the way, Joel Embiid really wanted, if they're saying no and they just within like a couple days, free agency, it hasn't even started yet, and they're like, nah, bruh, like, we're good, okay? That tells me that you want way too much fucking money. Because the 76ers had you as a priority for months. And, oh yeah, there's mutual interest between the Pacers and Paul George. Okay, great. But, you know, we just signed Siakam. Like, do you want to win, or do you want to get paid a whole lot of money to fucking lose? So, because I'm going to be honest, most people hate losing way more than they enjoy winning. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what Paul George is going to do. But there's also not a lot of teams in the league that have that type of cap space that makes sense for him to go to. You know, you're going to go to Detroit. You're going to go to San Antonio. You're going to go to Utah. You know what I'm saying? You're going to go to Toronto. You know, like, none of these teams offer you an opportunity to make a serious run at a championship. And the only one that I can look at that I'm like, there's only two of them that I can look at and say, yeah, if you go there, they're a championship team. That's Oklahoma City and the 76ers. Everybody else, it's like, if you're going to get paid, you're not going to win. And if you want to win, you're going to have to take less money. Sorry, bruh. But people, most of these teams that are playoff teams that have, you know, their core constructed, they're not gonna blow up their fucking core to add a 34-year-old small forward who's, by the way, very good, a two-way small forward who's very good, but you know, can't get the fucking dollar signs out of his eyes, you know. So especially when you've never been to an NBA Finals, just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a great player, but no one's gonna sign you to $50 million a year when you've never in your life been to an NBA Finals. You've been to an Eastern Conference Finals twice, okay? But outside of that, you haven't done a fucking thing. So, I don't know, man. That's it for me. All I know is, like, I hate this because I like Paul George a lot. He's, like, one of my favorite players in the game. But this fucking, like, I get that athletes are fucking greedy and they want every single dollar they can get. And rightfully so. But at the same time, it's like, you have made more money than most of the people on this fucking planet. Okay? Like, you are in the top 1%. Like, bro, take a fucking chill pill. You know, like we're acting, like, honestly, we're acting like $30-40 million a year is disrespectful when it's not. You know, okay, yeah, Jaylen Brown, like, I get that Jaylen Brown's making more money than you, but Jaylen Brown just won an NBA championship. Okay? You don't have one. So it's time to go get one. Tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. Like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.